Cool, so today we're going to talk to you guys about mindset habits and how to create the right ones and get yourself on track and do the work when you can't be bothered. So be myself, Charlie from TJ Coaching and Magic Mike.
Boom.
Okay, Built by Fitness. So something I've had a lot of clients ask for is some tips and feedback in terms of how basically to get your training sessions done, stick to your diet, do the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them, essentially. For me, a big thing I like to think of is like finding your why and thinking about why you're doing something. So like whenever I feel lazy or I can't be asked to train or to eat, I always think back to like, what's the purpose of me being here in the gym right now? What am I ultimately sacrificing? The fact that I could be putting my energy, time and money into something else. So I need to maximize what I'm actually doing here and put in 100% focus and energy to get the most out of this opportunity in this training session. Otherwise it's complete waste.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd agree with that.
To an extent I agree with it, but it's funny how people like switch between different things, because to an extent that I agree with that, and to an extent I kind of do the same thing as well. But the thing that I feel triggers me a lot more is having the understanding of what it is. Who do I want to be perceived as? Do I want to be perceived as the person that doesn't want to go after what it is that I want to go after? But like, if essentially, do I want people to look at me and assume that I'm a lazier person because I'm giving up on the things that I know I should be doing? So instead of me going to the gym and training, instead of me concentrating on what I'm putting in my mouth, I'd rather spend my time potentially sitting in front of a TV or watching things that aren't going to benefit me moving forward. So for me, I feel more that I benefit a lot more from trying to have an understanding of what an outsider's perspective is of me as a person. Do I want people to look at me and look up to me because I'm setting myself certain goals, and I'm not only going to set them, but I'm actually going to therefore go after them, instead of just being like, oh, I feel lazy today, or oh, I can't be bothered today, so I'm not going to do it.
I think ultimately that comes down to like something I rattle on the time. Is about like you achieving your goals, not about you being motivated. It's about you being disciplined, because the greatest will in the world, like you're not going to be 100% motivated all the time. Anyone who fucking says that's fucking lying. So you cannot be motivated all the time. But what it comes down to is you being disciplined and creating the right daily habits and routine, so that when you're not motivated, you still get shit done. You still get whatever your tasks are done. So you get your work done, you get your training done, you get your food done, you spend the time with family you have to. All these tasks you get done because it becomes the correct habit. Now, in terms of creating the right habits, that also comes down to creating the right environment, and that in terms of like a physical environment of where you live, the people you surround yourself with, as well as in terms of like the information you consume. So following the right people on Instagram, following the right people on social media, the mainstream media you consume, because in particular at the moment there's a lot of rubbish that's put out in the media which people get very easily led astray by, because they see headlines and titles which you have to think as the end consumer, they're looking to put this stuff out there to try and draw you in to get a reaction. This doesn't necessarily mean the information out there is correct, and there's a lot of stuff that's always spouted around that can be highly controversial, and it's just headline grabbers trying to pull you in, not necessarily in the right direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you have to understand that people that do that, or organisations that do that, and mainstream media is there for a reason. It's there to put subliminal messages in front of your face, because at the end of the day they either want to they want you to buy into something or a specific way of living. So hence why mainstream TV sucks people in so much. Like, in reality, do you want your day to be controlled by the things that you're watching on TV? Like the way that the news portrays things, or certain series links that you watch, or I don't know, documentaries or whatever it may be. Are you actually going to be dictated by those things? So say for instance, you talk about habits, people gain the habit of watching a specific TV show at a specific time. Like, you can take that habit and flip it on its head and put that in place of you going to train or you going to do some form of activity. Like, weigh up what's going to benefit you more. What you're going to gain out of sitting down and watching an hour's worth of TV, or what you're going to gain out of anything else that's not going to progress you.
What's the upside and what's the downside?
Rather than something you can gain out of going to have a training session or going to do something to exert some energy.
And a lot of it is people look for, in terms of talking to habits, they tend to create the habits which create instant gratification. So the habits of picking for food because you can eat that now and it tastes good, it makes you feel good instantly, rather than not eating the junk food right now, not having the instant gratification now, but in 6 to 12 weeks or whatever your goal is in terms of your physique or your business, sticking to whatever your target is, and then working, like not just focusing on the here and now, looking at the bigger picture of whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And then you might have to make small term sacrifices for long term benefit. And I think that's where people often go wrong, is that they don't give themselves enough time to necessarily go forward to achieve their goal, because they'll be consistent with whatever they're trying to do for 4 to 5 days. Saturday rolls around and it all goes to fucking pot, and then the Sunday goes to pot as well, and they go back into it Monday, and then they wonder why they're not making any progress, because essentially they have 4 to 5 days on track, everything falls apart for 2 days, and they just end up in a balanced state all the time where they're not really going anywhere, spinning their wheels and essentially wasting their time. So
I think you have to go through that though.
Yeah, and you learn, and I did that for years.
Yeah, because a lot of people will do that, and a lot of people, when you start off, whatever goal it is that you have in mind, you have to have the understanding that you have to go through those parts of life. You have to go through the parts where you feel like you have no motivation, or you feel like you want to give up. It's kind of exactly the same as when you was at school and you were studying for a test. Like, nobody wants to sit there and read like through paper that you don't really care about, and that's the mental barrier that you have to overcome, is the fact that you have to stay focused on one specific thing. It comes down to anything in life, and the one thing that I'd say is, if you can stop thinking about trying to be motivated all the time and look at it as if you want to motivate somebody else, because when you start motivating somebody else, motivation becomes completely obsolete. I don't know if you kind of agree with that. Like, once you start portraying the message of, this is what I'm going after, and I want to portray this message to other people because you know that it might motivate other people, then in essence that becomes your motivation. That becomes your driving force to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve.
100% agree, and it's like those small choices and actions you make every day what basically creates the life you're going to live. So the actions you take on a daily basis are what will create the human being you are, and basically the history you leave on this planet. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. And that always comes down to that. What do you want to be perceived as? What do you want to be remembered as? Or what do you want people to see you as the type of person that do you want to be that person? Because let's be honest, it's not for everybody. Like, being like active and fitness and whatever it is, it's not for everybody. But if you truly have something inside of you that's telling you that you want to go after it, then you need to go after it, and you need to have respect for the fact that it might take a little bit of time, a little bit of consistency to be able to go after those things.
100%. And you're the author of your own story, so write your own book.
Boom.